Morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing very well in this, what we'll call the Snowmageddon. I'm not sure if we're going to have anybody watching this at the moment. I just want to make sure that I check in on everybody. So want to see how it stay here. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do a quick intro right now, and then I'm going to actually play the video. It's, speaking of like taming your tech, which is part of this presentation. I'm using a StreamYard platform. It allows me to be live here, but also have you guys watch me on YouTube, Facebook, various other platforms. It also allows me to pre-record and then actually just bring the recording onto the stream, which is what you're going to see behind this banner. So in a moment, I'm going to remove the banner, which is what I'm going to do in about 2 seconds. And then after the banner's removed, we're going to get going on this. So yeah, so there's the banners gone. So, I mean, you can do all kinds of different things branding wise. I will say that the first slide here is probably going to set the tone for the whole thing. I'm going to be live on the chat. So I'm going to be with you on the chat. So if you guys have questions as this is going, there's unfortunately a natural break in the presentation due to the fact that my internet bonked on me 2 days ago when I was recording this on the stat holiday. So anyway, the whole thing's recorded. If you registered for this, that has been previously emailed to you. If you're a new registrant, I've actually changed the online registration such that all the tools are handed to you at that moment. So one of the things I'll say about online and delivering online content, and obviously, myself even pivoting over to this educational platform now and trying to do as many things through learning management system as possible, is this: you're trying to remove barriers to entry. So even the way I've navigated this seminar in terms of giving you access to the tools before, after I've done the seminar, all make a huge impact on your clients. I will come back at the natural break, fast forward the video on the stream, and answer any questions directly that I think are relevant that are in the chat at the time. I do believe most people will not be here live at the moment because I have given them direction that they don't need to be here if they don't need to be. But there you go. Anyway, I'm here if you need me. If there are any live chat questions, I will answer them as we're going. If you have questions after the fact, by all means, please send them to me. I'll do my very best to get back to them in a timely manner. So I'm going off. I'm going to bring me back on, but in a completely different manner. Be maximum. To do is when you get to the end at the checkout, drop this in the promo code, and it should give you 20% discount off most of the product except for the exclusions you see below. All right, so what are we going to try and accomplish here today? Well, very simple. There's 4 things I want to accomplish. I've broken the seminar down into 4 different phases or 4 different components. One is I'm going to answer the question, what is the market and what are the opportunities for online training? A lot of which obviously I think a lot of you guys already have some pretty good insight into, and you've been minimally probably dabbling into this particular area. If you haven't, hopefully I'll give you some access point here and you'll have a better understanding of where to start. Secondarily, that is which business model or which like online model is likely to work best for you and your demographic and your current clients. Once you've figured out what model you're going to use, like what are we going to do? What steps are we going to take to start to set that model up for success, to give you the tools that are necessary for you to operate successfully in this online platform. And then last but not least, like actually operationalizing in the day-to-day operations, consistent integrations that are necessary for you to be able to optimize your CRM, your communications, your marketing promotion, etc. All right, so no matter what model you choose or what pathway you decide to go down, think through answering these 4 questions, okay? What problem are you solving? It's incredibly important to realize you have to solve a problem. And if you are, what is it and how are you going to uniquely position yourself to help people with that problem? Because someone else is probably also doing it, but what unique skills do you own that maybe allow you to position yourself in the online market? When people see you online and your presence within 10 seconds, can they clearly have a vision of who you are and what you're trying to do and what problem you're trying to solve? Are you engaging with those people that are showing interest in your product and interest in your solution to the problem? Are you engaging with them? Are you converting them into raving fans through ongoing engagement and opportunities for them? And do you have a system of accountability? Have you created a online system where you can easily hold your clients accountable. We'll talk a little bit what some of those things can be, but no matter what we do today or what model you choose or what direction you're going down, you should be able to answer these 4 questions in fairly short order. One of the easiest ways to kind of critically think about your business and to start wrapping your head about how you're going to answer those 4 questions is to do a SWOT analysis, okay? And and a gaps analysis. Those 2 things are incredibly important to give you that critical thought process behind the directions you're going to take your business when you go into the online world. So SWOT analysis is simply looking at the strengths that do online training may exist. So some of the general strengths of online training would be maximum flexibility and convenience for both you and your clients, not limited by geography, so they can be anywhere, anytime. So you can be connected at any time. And then if we look at weaknesses, if you have a business, the employee is more than you, or even if it's just your own personal energy, is like it's hard to create culture. Although we have a lot of great tools online to work with now, and like the meeting tools with Zoom and stuff have significantly improved in such a way that it's really not that much of a loss to be decentralized when it comes to your workforce. So the hardest part is obviously creation and access to resources and equipment. So if you're going to go online, a lot of time you have to get all these resources in place, and then you have to make sure that not only are the resources in place, which we'll talk about what some of those might look like, is to get the adoption by your clients, like getting them to get into the virtual space, get the tools that they require, get the equipment that they require, and have them onboard it successfully into whatever technology you're going to integrate. What's cool and what the opportunities are here is that, like, obviously clearly you're going to see that there's multiple revenue streams online, and a lot of these revenue streams can be revenue while you sleep, which is incredibly important. So it doesn't require your presence in order for it to have success. New market is unfolding. So obviously this market is continuing to grow and evolve, and it's shape shifting itself on an ongoing basis. And technology continues to change quickly in under the online space. One of the things it does allow you to do is potentially, if you are a bricks and mortars owner, is to downsize. So if you're in a situation where you could downsize your space or change your leasehold agreements, et cetera, your overhead costs could be down significantly as a result of getting to the online space and not having as much demand for in-person. One of the threats, obviously, is to recognize that don't just hop online for the sake of hopping online. The key ingredient is to realize that what your core business is and what your clients want inside that business. So failing to ask your clients what they want and what they need would be a mistake. So be aware that you don't want to just flip your business because it's vogue or it's the right thing to do or it's what you want to do. You have to make sure that you're meeting your clients and their needs exactly where they're at. So, and or evolve them through education over time. Obviously, when you're decentralized with your workforce or even with your clients, that accountability piece, although it's easier through technology, can be challenging because it's not done face to face. So the result of that is that you have to learn how to overcome and how to manage that online space for those types of one-on-one interactions in a valuable way, especially if people are not coming together inside of a bricks and mortar space. Obviously, there's a ton of competition for this space right now, so everyone's trying to find a way in, and everybody seems to be, have a social influence, and almost every person I know somehow is an influencer nowadays. So really, being authentic and consistent is incredibly important. So it may be a slow building process, but you'll get there if you're consistent in your process. Once you've done your SWOT analysis, then you have to go, well, where am I and where do I need to be? And what's the action plan and steps I'm going to take to get there? So then you want to be diligent in your process. And again, always be aware of where your clients are and to make sure that you're moving at the pace they want you to move at and get the adoption that's required for you to have success online. All right. So this is just a complete overview. Here are some of the options that are available as far as models go. You got in-person plus virtual, you got strictly virtual, you got on-demand plus live workouts, and any version of the combinations of those things can easily happen. And then what you do when you're in the virtual space, there's a number of different options available for revenue streams, which we're going to break down momentarily. One of the things to bear in mind and to keep in mind when you're going down these paths is that looking for parallel lines of revenue. So Obviously, in the product side of things, there's affiliates, there's ambassador programs, et cetera. And what you're looking to do is you want to pair up with people in an industry relevant way or in an online relevant way. So obviously wearables is a bit of a no-brainer. It's another way to track and keep people accountable. Some of these wearables have online software programs that allow you to see what your clients are doing on an ongoing basis. And it's just a fun way to share information with one another. So as far as supplements go, there's companies out there that obviously have strong affiliate marketing opportunities attached to them. So DocFit being one, a new company called Wakewater, which is actually an old student of mine who's one of the part owners of this company. BioSteel, which is an old friend of mine from the performance days, who used to be the strength conditioning coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and another one called Athletic Greens. They all have strong partnership relationship revenue models attached to them, so there are opportunities there to be able to generate revenue. On the fitness equipment side, obviously you just want to look for companies that are open-minded to affiliate branding, affiliate marketing, wholesale discounts, et cetera, for you to be able to either own your own product or simply drop ship the product. And obviously that can be anything from portable fitness all the way up into industrial fitness equipment lines, depending on what your needs are and what your clients need. So again, important to start to look down these streams and start to fill all these gaps if they exist for your business model. So what's the market look like? Okay, so before 2020, obviously there was very few people that were looking at online space. Like in general, there was about 7% of the entire workforce on the personal training, fitness, and health side, health and performance, that were actually utilizing any form of online training as part of their operational model. Whereas now, obviously, that has greatly changed. And if we look at it now, more than 58%, and back in 2020 when the pandemic started, 58% of the industry reported financial loss. So obviously there was a major issue. We had very few people who were online. Only options for training were generally online. So therefore we had to close that gap. And that's what happened. So if you look at stats now, almost everybody in some way, shape, or form has incorporated online formats. And that does require a significant mindset shift, both philosophically from a program design and preparation perspective, and even how you format your workouts for people that are on the go, and some of it being on demand, for example. So the good news, 83% of the field has now caught up, and they're figuring out that we need to continue doing online training, even if it's only a small portion of our business. It's there to stay, and we have to make sure that we're able to do so. Like in my side of things, which is like the education and presenting side of the field, there's no chance that they're not going to offer a virtual online registration for every conference going forward. I can't imagine a conference that won't offer an online version of itself. All right, I'm going to leave this real quick. There's just I downloaded a couple articles for you guys. The links are live, so just click away and take a look. The things to take in mind here, and really all I want you to take away from that top bit of information that's up here, is that it seems to be that people are moving to a place where they're doing both in person and online simultaneously, and that is sort of a consistent trend in the market on the whole, is that people are engaging in multiple forms of fitness and health and are paying to do so in multiple ways and multiple platforms. So be aware that finding the way to have a combination of in-person contact, and so which more of a hybrid model, and online presence is probably essential going for you for the optimized relationships and opportunities in the fitness arena. So, and if you look at the bottom piece of this puzzle, one of the things to bear in mind is that if people are going to work out at home, they're going to purchase equipment. And secondary to that, they're not going to have as many contacts with your facility. So the value add is important. So if people were coming to your CrossFit gym, say, for example, 4 times a week, and now they're only coming twice a week and doing 2 workouts online, you have to offer online value adds to them and or drop the price. So you have to find a way to either bring online value to keep your price point where it is, or you have to drop your price point because people aren't using it. On average, the visits per week have gone down significantly. All right, so if we look at these models over it, so I've got 3 that I'm going to put up here. If you look at the virtual training model, it's a fairly straightforward model to wrap your head around. Obviously, everything you're doing is online. You got maximum flexibility in terms of when you work, how you work, how quickly you're set up and organized to be able to run your sessions besides the tech setup stuff. In a virtual training world, depending on what the number, right, what your trainer to client ratio is. Obviously, if it's one-on-one, it's highly personalized. If it's small group, then it's less personalized, but still in a fairly personalized programming perspective. Still really focused on personalized workouts and highly relationship based because it's ongoing face to face with people in a way where obviously you're trying to really focus on the connections you have with those clients, and that benefit is that there's a lot of referral based marketing that comes as a result of having close tight relationships. The drawback is obviously people are going to have to pay a lot of money for services. One-on-one personal training is not something that a lot of people can afford on an ongoing basis, but again, that comes down to additional demographic information on your behalf. You're maxed out on your revenue, right? If you're a trainer, you only have X number of slots per day that you're able to execute. And people that make a lot of money in this particular model often burn out within a few years of doing so, because you're working 8 to 10 hours a day on an ongoing basis, giving your heart and soul to your clients. So it can lead to being a slave to the schedule and excessive amount of burnout over time. So there's challenges and opportunities, right? If you think of like a SWOT analysis kind of mindset, there are challenges and opportunities with every one of these models. The one I sort of push towards is integrating some version of the three of these. So if we start looking at this, so this one that's in the middle requires very little of your time on a schedule. There's still scheduled check-ins, there's still month-to-month programming, development, et cetera, that occurs. But a lot of this can be canned, right? These can all be previously done. They can be templated, built out, a lot of upfront time. That's the sort of drawback from this. It takes a lot of time to get people set up. It takes a lot of time to get people registered. A lot of marketing and promotion time and effort goes into this. So it's not like the cost of acquisition goes down. The cost of acquisition is high, but once you have the client acquired, you then just need to navigate whatever model and whatever socioeconomic status and whatever your affordability that your client base has, and where that sits against other competitors as well, and recognize what the competition is and how you're going to uniquely solve a problem that your competition isn't doing in such a way where price becomes less of the issue, and that relationship and your accountability and some of the structures you put in place to allow you to be successful online are what people are drawn towards. So if you look at just on demand, obviously this is where it gets challenging, right? Because you've got big players in the market. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. You got Apple Fitness, for example. You've got Peloton. You've got, God only knows, the 5 or 6 other different major players that have both equipment and programming attached, and at a very low price point. Sometimes the barrier to entry is the actual piece of equipment, like Peloton. You got to buy the equipment. But then the actual day-to-day, month-to-month pricing is very low, $14.99 for all access to all things all the time. Same thing applies for Mirror. So once you get into the on-demand market, obviously you have to realize that once you go down this pathway, you're really heavily competing with other companies that have done a great job and have thousands of pre-recorded workouts made available in interactive kind of ways. So that might be a challenge, but this piece in the middle is where I really think a lot of us can do great work and still focus on that personalized connected fitness piece. All right, so here's what I got. I got a series of questions for you guys. Now, this is nothing more than just to sort of give you some thought and again, some critical analysis. So what you have to recognize is that the best fit model comes from a dual perspective. There's you, the operator, and then there's the client, right? And you have to realize that those two things need to intersect with one another in order for you to have success. If you focus on what you want to do and what you truly believe your passion is, or where you think the market is heading, it's risky if you haven't also asked those same questions of your demographic, of your client base, or the people that you plan on impacting in a positive way. So questions I think about, for example, if we look at the first one, now that this I want you to play along with this. So obviously everything to the right, it's more of that and less of that. So on the left, it means you're thinking less about the question I'm about to ask you. And if I say if you're thinking more to the right, so for example, the first question here, how often do you find yourself wanting social interaction? This is Completely sorry for that disruption, everybody. I'm not sure what happened to my internet. Yeah, there's you. One of the challenges of online learning right there. All right, so back to what I was saying about the needs analysis. Okay, so first question, again, relates to social interaction, your need for it. Second question is how important is distance or schedule flexibility for you? The third question here, okay, is going to be program optimization. So we're looking at personalization optimization. So how often do I rely on specialized training equipment or hands-on training techniques? So that really comes down to, like, do you need specialized equipment to do your job, and is it cost prohibitive to have it at home or from an online world? And the same would apply to your client too, from that side of things. Fourth question is team culture and energy. Like, how important is group energy and peer sharing for your business? So, like, at Innovative Fitness, for example, a lot of our trainers are highly skilled, and when we're working around one another, we pick up ideas from one another all the time. It's a great learning environment, especially when you haven't been in the environment all that much and you go back into it. It's an exceptional opportunity for you to learn from your clients, not from your clients, but from your team members. And then oftentimes we have like ongoing staff meetings once a week, so that kind of sharing can be done online, obviously, but it's just better when you're in that energy sometimes. So, how important is that to you, left or right? Five, schedule capacity, right? Do you feel limited by or exhausted from the number of training hours per day? So it really comes down to like how your personal energy levels come down to your schedule, and have you maxed out your capacity to do so one-on-one based on bricks and mortar scheduling. And last but not least is the cost of doing business limiting your profit margin. So if the cost of your bricks and mortar is eating into your profit margins because your expense is too high relative